If you think you know everything about this movie, trust me, you don't. This 2002 movie was even more chaotic. Dangerous stunts, horror-level design choices, injuries, improvisation, and one villain who technically wins. Here are 10 crazy facts you didn't know about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And it all starts with what might be the most irresponsible road trip in Hogwarts history. 1. The flying car scene was a total disaster to film. Remember the iconic moment where Harry and Ron steal the Weasleys' flying Ford Anglia? It looks playful on screen, but filming it was a nightmare. The car wasn't just one prop. There were multiple versions, one for close-ups, one for wide shots, one for crashes, and one suspended on massive rigs. Coordinating all of that while making it look like natural flight was incredibly difficult. The car constantly malfunctioned, missed marks, and forced expensive retakes. At one point, the crew joked that the car was cursed. That's not all. The scene took place over several shooting days, with the weather constantly ruining continuity. Clouds changed, lighting shifted, wind made the rigs unstable. Every single take risked damaging the set or the actors. And if you think the flying car was dangerous, wait until you hear about the tree it crashed into. 2. The Whomping Willow was actually dangerous. The Whomping Willow is one of the most memorable creatures in the entire franchise, but it wasn't a walk in the park either. The tree was a massive mechanical structure built with long, heavy branches powered by industrial hydraulics. These branches didn't just move, they swung with real force. During filming, the tree repeatedly smashed into the flying car at full force. Timing had to be perfect. If a cue was missed, a branch could hit the wrong area, damage equipment, or seriously injure someone nearby. Crew members had to stand back, and actors were often replaced with stunt doubles during wider shots. Even then, pieces of bark and debris regularly flew off the set during takes. But as terrifying as the Whomping Willow was, it had nothing on the monster waiting beneath Hogwarts. 3. The Basilisk was designed like a horror monster. The Basilisk in Chamber of Secrets wasn't designed as a fantasy creature, it was designed as a horror villain. The filmmakers studied snakes, dragons, and classic monster films. The goal wasn't elegance, it was fear. That's why the Basilisk moves slowly, fills the frame, and is often revealed in fragments, teeth, eyes, scales, before the full body appears. Its eyes were intentionally designed to feel predatory, and the sound design was layered with deep, unsettling frequencies meant to trigger anxiety. This wasn't accidental. Director Chris Columbus wanted the chamber sequence to feel closer to Alien than a children's fantasy. And for a movie rated PG, it's shockingly effective. Ironically, while one creature was designed to be terrifying, another almost didn't make the movie at all. 4. Dobby was almost removed from the movie. Believe it or not, Dobby nearly didn't exist in the film. Early production discussions raised serious concerns about whether audiences would connect with a fully CGI character that emotional and that present throughout the story. At the time, motion capture technology wasn't where it is now. The fear was that Dobby would feel fake, distracting, or worse, annoying. There were talks about drastically reducing his screen time or removing him entirely, but test footage proved something important. Dobby worked, not because of how he looked, but because of how he felt. He wasn't just comic relief. He represented slavery, abuse, loyalty, and sacrifice, themes that would define the entire series later. So the filmmakers committed fully, and that decision shaped the emotional core of the movie.
It's the only place I've got friends. Friends who don't even write to Harry Potter?
Still, deciding to keep Dobby was only the beginning, because animating him was brutally hard. 5. Dobby's sock scene was brutally hard to animate. Dobby receiving Harry's sock is one of the most emotional moments in the entire film, but it nearly broke the visual effects team. The scene required real-time interaction between a human actor and a fully digital character with precise emotional timing. Jason Isaacs had to perform the scene reacting to nothing. No Dobby, no sock movement, just imagination. The animators then had to match facial expressions, eye lines, hand movements, and emotional beats frame by frame. Even the sock itself was difficult. Cloth simulation was notoriously unreliable at the time, especially when interacting with a CGI hand. The scene went through countless revisions before it finally worked. While every detail of Dobby was being put together, One actor was making it all up as he went along. 6. Kenneth Branagh improvised most of Lockhart. Gilderoy Lockhart feels perfectly ridiculous, and that's because Kenneth Branagh improvised most of it. While the character was scripted as vain and cowardly, Branagh leaned fully into the absurdity. Many of Lockhart's gestures, pauses, and dramatic flourishes weren't in the script at all. The exaggerated smiles, the over-the-top self-praise, the way he poses even when terrified, much of that came directly from Branagh's instincts. Chris Columbus allowed him to play, trusting that the humor would land. And it did. Lockhart became unforgettable not because he was threatening, but because he was hilariously incompetent.
Let's have a volunteer pair. Potter, Weasley, how about you?
And speaking of unexpected casting choices, let's talk about Moaning Myrtle. 7. Moaning Myrtle was played by a 37-year-old. Moaning Myrtle, the ghost who haunts the girls' bathroom, was played by Shirley Henderson. The actress was 37 years old at the time. This wasn't unusual in theory. Adults often play teens, but Myrtle is meant to look especially young and vulnerable. She was cast because she could perfectly balance comedy, sadness, and discomfort. Henderson's performance worked because of her voice, posture, and emotional fragility. She didn't play Myrtle as a joke. She played her as genuinely lonely and stuck in her trauma.
It was dreadful. It happened right here in this very...
It added depth to a character that could have easily been annoying, and it made Myrtle's connection to Tom Riddle even more unsettling, which brings us to one of the creepiest objects in the entire Harry Potter universe. 8. Tom Riddle's diary was filmed like a horror artifact. Tom Riddle's diary wasn't treated like a magical book. It was filmed like a cursed object from a horror movie. From the start, the filmmakers made a rule. The diary should never feel safe in Harry's hands. Notice how the ink bleeds unnaturally across the pages, how the pages wait, and how the camera lingers just a little too long. The diary scenes were shot with darker lenses, tighter framing, and slower pacing to make the object feel dangerous. And when Tom Riddle finally steps out of the diary, the scene isn't framed like a memory coming to life. It's staged like a possession. He doesn't fade in, he materializes, solid and threatening, as if the diary has successfully grown a body. The goal was simple. By the end of the film, the audience shouldn't see the diary as an object, but as an ancient weapon. And they succeeded. Unfortunately, confronting that weapon came at a real cost to the lead actor. 9. Daniel Radcliffe was injured filming the final battle. The final battle with the Basilisk pushed Daniel Radcliffe harder than any scene he'd filmed up to that point. Most of the sequence was shot with heavy wire work, meaning Radcliffe was repeatedly lifted, dropped, and yanked backward to simulate the Basilisk attacking him. He also had to perform long stretches of the scene blind to what he was fighting, reacting to timing cues instead of a real creature. During one take, a wire move went wrong and caused Radcliffe to slam awkwardly, resulting in a painful injury that required medical attention. Filming had to stop while the crew reassessed the stunt setup and adjusted the rigging. After the injury, many of the remaining wide shots were handled by a stunt double, but Radcliffe returned to finish his close-ups and emotional beats himself. That's why Harry looks genuinely worn down by the end of the fight, because Daniel was too. And after all that struggle, here's the wildest fact of all. 10. Voldemort actually wins in this movie. It didn't feel like it, but Voldemort wins in Chamber of Secrets. Think about it. A piece of his soul successfully manipulates a student. The chamber is opened. The Basilisk kills. Fear spreads across Hogwarts. Even though Harry destroys the diary, Voldemort proves something crucial. He can act without a body. He can influence from a distance. And he can come back stronger. This movie quietly establishes the rules that make Voldemort truly terrifying and sets the stage for everything that follows. By the end of the film, Harry survives, but Voldemort has already changed the rules of the game. And that's the Rewind. 10 facts you didn't know about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Not just a sequel, it's the moment the franchise grows up. And over 2 decades later, it still holds up. If you enjoyed this Rewind, hit like, subscribe, and tell us which Chamber of Secrets moment scared you the most the first time you watched it. And if you're craving more Potter magic, our Rewind on Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is live now. Check that out next. As Dumbledore reminds Harry, It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. See you in the next one.